The definition of flagship is a vessel that carries the commander of the fleet. Now, the word can also be used to describe the largest and the finest in a group of things, like, let's say, for example, in a product lineup. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Kia EV9 GT line. And this is the quintessential definition of a flagship. It's big, it's quick, it's got a long range, and it's got an extensive list of features that you would not believe, which include a pair of captain seats in the second row that not only recline with an ottoman, but it's also got a massage function. So good, in fact, it'll make you rethink your mattress at home. Speaking of which, you've got to meet the all-new Sealy Posturepedic adjustable bed system, now with Ice Touch technology available in soft and firm feels paired with the adjustable bed frame. Sealy has over 140 years of experience creating and innovating mattresses and is now the #1 mattress brand in Singapore, Australia, and the US. And thanks to Focus Global, Sealy is also made available here in the Philippines. Fine-tune your position and find the perfect angle for reading, relaxing, or drifting off to sleep with Sealy Posturepedic's adjustable bed system. Oh. Lift your head, elevate your legs, or try one of its preset positions. You can create a sleep experience tailored to your body's unique needs. Zero gravity elevates your body in an optimal weightless position, which removes pressure from your spine and improves blood circulation. The anti-snore position would be a favorite of the wives. It gently lifts your head to provide targeted support and help reduce the Wookiee inside you. And for movie nights or just binging the AutoDeal YouTube channel, there's a TV position that keeps you perfectly propped up to prevent neck and back strain. Discover the ultimate sleep experience tailored to you at the touch of a button. The Split King allows you to enjoy your side of the mattress the way you want it and the way your partner wants it, down to the position and mattress type. The Sealy Posturepedic adjustable bed system starts at 464,000 Philippine pesos for a queen. Assuming you spend an average of 6 to 8 hours a day in bed, it's worth it. Sealy also has a wide range of premium hotel and orthopedic mattresses from extra soft to extra firm. Visit Sealy at Shangri-La Plaza or at any of these stores near you. Take home a Sealy today and turn every night into a VIP experience right from the comfort of your own home. Now, a big car requires big power, and boy, does it have it. It's got twin motors, meaning it's an all-wheel drive system, and that produces a whopping 378 horses and a staggering 700 Newton meters of torque, all stemming from a 99.8 kilowatt-hour battery. Now, the range is claimed to be 505 kilometers, which is pretty darn good considering the size of the vehicle. Now on to charging. If you have an 11 kilowatt charger, then it will take you roughly about 10 hours to go from 10% to 100%, which is not really bad. You get home and you charge it. However, it is capable of going from 10 to 80% in just 24 minutes if you have a 350 kilowatt charger, which from my knowledge, there isn't one available in the country as of yet, unless you get a couple of jumper cables and you hack the grid directly. Large and imposing front clip, huge 21-inch wheel standing on a surprisingly modest 177 millimeters of ground clearance. Black accents around the edges of the car give it a bolder look, and its overall profile is very classic boxy SUV, but the star map lights give it a very futuristic look. As with most EVs, you have a frunk, and in the case of the EV9, you've got one that is 52 liters. Quite large, quite useful, especially since it fits this bag that holds your mobile charger and of course your V2L adapter, which is very, very nice, especially when you're camping like this. Wow, camping, me? Yeah, right. My idea of camping is room service. Cargo space at the rear ain't too shabby either. Open her up and you are looking at a decent 333 liters of space, which, by the way, is really cool because underneath is where you can hide the tonneau. I wish more cars did that. So definitely big enough for the overnight, but I think you could fit even Earl's ridiculously sized full-size maleta in here, which, by the way, if you'd like to see, we actually have a video of taking that maleta out on a drive. We'll put the link somewhere down below. But anyway, 333 liters of space, and not just the space, but you also have a 12-volt socket, and then you have an AC socket as well. and buttons to fold the third row and the second row. If you were to fold the third row with a push of a button, then you're looking at over 800 liters of space, and it's flat too, so you can load balikbayan boxes and push them to the back. No issues there whatsoever. And then a second set of buttons which will electronically push the seats in the second row a little bit forward, but you have to manually fold it flat. And when you do, you're looking at about 2,318 liters of space, which is ridiculous. I've never seen captain's chairs this fully featured that can fold flat. I don't know, man, that's pretty darn impressive right there. It is. You can access the third row by folding this seat, but since there's so much space in this car anyway, look at this. I can even close the door while I'm making my way to the back. Oh, so much space. The leg room is not going to be great if the person in front of you is not feeling generous to you. I mean, this is a very generous way of me sitting in the second row behind Jack's driving position. But I can most definitely still move it forward, and I'd still have a lot of space to be able to fold my legs. In the case of the third row though, if the second row is quite generous, it's a decent amount of space for the third row. Not much thigh support even for a shorter person for myself, but I guess smaller kids will really have no qualms by being back here at all, because there are cup holders on either side. There's also Type-C chargers on either side. And get this, you can also slightly recline your seats ever so gently with a push of a button. But if you are a man-child like myself, Dax, I'm trying to say that I'm actually bigger than I am, the headroom is still quite decent. Look at that. The leg room is a little bit on the tight side, again, depending on the person in front, but the headroom, look at that. I'm not saying you could fit Bonjing back here, but I don't think it would be an issue to put Jack back here. Oh, Jack.
Hey, yeah, that's not bad.
The person that's definitely going to be sitting in front of you has to be a little bit generous. Again, very easy access from the third row onto the second row, which is where you really want to be because it's very, very comfortable. So first, you have a share of the panoramic roof, not very large, but large enough that the second row and the third row can share. What the third row does not need to share with the second row are air vents, because while the second row has their own, so does the third row. I forgot to mention that. So the only thing that's manual inside this second row area would be this shade for the window, and then when you actually need to fold the seat flat when you're loading cargo. Everything else on this thing is powered, and I love it. You've got a power ottoman, you've got a power reclining, you've got power zero gravity and whatnot. Then you've got controls for your massage functions, which is actually very cool. Pop it on and you can have the vibrate onto your upper back and buttocks, and then you have a vibrate for your lower back. You can change the intensity. That's awesome. Not only does this have a massage function and an ottoman, but it also is ventilated. You've got other amenities in here, like you've got air controls directly up front, or rather above. These are not just air controls, but they're actually also temperature controls. Down below, you've got two cup holders. Flanking it on either side on the driver's seat and the front passenger are your Type-C charging points for the rear. You've got this huge tray in the center that comes out and then it extends as a table, which, by the way, underneath is so big that it can house Jack's ridiculously sized bottle, which is very, very nice. And then, of course, all the power features that you have on your seats, and also are equipped with ISOFIX tethers, so it's nice and safe. There's also ball holders on either side, and then you have Meridian speakers inside this car, which actually sound pretty darn good. The best part, the absolute best part about this though, has got to be when you're being driven around, because it is just a joy, man. Pop open the ottoman, let's move back a little bit more, recline some more, and then turn the massage function on. Yes, darling. Uy. Okay, so the front seats. Lots of cool tech things in here. So let's start from the top and work our way down, okay? So obviously you have your sunroof for the front two passengers. This mirror right here is not just your average mirror. Let's say, for example, you have passengers in the back and you don't want an impeded view of the rear. Just flip the switch and the camera at the rear turns on, turning this into essentially a screen. The next set of screens would be something that I first saw in the Seoul Mobility Show back in 2023, which I hoped that they were going to keep, which are the side mirrors, these screens for the side mirrors. And they did. It's here in the country. So it's obviously not a side mirror, it's or rather a mirror, it's a camera. So you've got cameras outside that display the image on these screens inside. Now, this is actually very cool tech. The problem is that it might take some getting used to because, well, since it's an image, there's no depth perception. That's one. Second, you know that feeling when you're trying to look at a mirror and you kind of angle yourself to sort of like change the view? Yeah, obviously you can't do that here. What you see is what you get. For the most part of using this vehicle, it's actually pretty cool because it's high tech really. It just does take some getting used to. If you're wondering if it creates any blind spots, maybe a small one, but nothing larger than your average full-size mirror would have cost anyway. To continue with the screens, more screens, there are two 12.3-inch screens directly in front of you, one as your infotainment center and the other as your instrument cluster. Now, the infotainment obviously is going to be touchscreen as it is, and it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and of course it has a 360 camera. Why wouldn't it? There's so many cameras inside this car anyway. Getting into the proper driving position is very, very easy since it's fully powered. There's memory function too, and these seats are actually cool seats and warm seats as well. And not to be outdone by the second row, but the driver also gets a massage function. Yes, why wouldn't he? He's the king. Steering wheel, somewhat flat on top, kind of round on the bottom. It is a chonky steering wheel. It's a lot thicker than other steering wheels, which is not necessarily a bad thing because it just means that there's a lot more to grab onto, kind of like Jack. Aww.
Thanks, man.
It feels good to the touch, like Jack. We're gonna
What?
stop
Pause.
there. I'm sorry, we're gonna stop. We're gonna pause there. We're gonna edit that. What we noticed is that the steering is very, very light when you're trying to maneuver during traffic. It's super, super light. Obviously, it's electronic steering, but it tightens up nicely when you go out for a drive, which we'll discuss a little bit later. On the left, you have your cruise functions. On the right, you have your audio controls. And down below, you have your terrain mode and your drive modes as well. At the back, you've got two paddles. They are obviously not for gears, it's for your regeneration. It sort of like allows you more regen and less regen depending on how you drive. In the center, you've got buttons on this pad right here. Well, it's not a pad, it's a panel really. These buttons go straight into your infotainment, get to your home, your map, your media, and so on and so forth. But there are physical controls for your audio and your air, which Jack absolutely loves because you can get to them very, very quickly. I turned off the air. Below that, you have your charging points, two Type-Cs, and a 12-volt socket, which is pretty cool because the door, check this out, the door isn't a flip, it's a push. Oh, that's nice. Lots of storage space inside this car. Underneath, enough space to fit Earl's ridiculously sized bottle. Am I the only one that doesn't have a ridiculously sized bottle? Here in the center, lots of cubby room. You push these and boom, turns out to be cup holders. A wireless charging pad here in the center and then more space here in the middle, including the key. And then the last piece of tech is that you have a heads-up display, which is fully colored, by the way. And what Jack tells me is that now you have no excuse for speeding. We are going to go out for a drive and tell you what the EV9 feels like out on the road. But before we do please consider subscribing to our channel because we create all of these videos to pay for Gino's trip to Turkey.
Why? You know why.
And we are here in Istanbul, Turkey to find out a little bit more about their new sport bike, the 450 SR.
A car this big has no business being so quick, and yet it is. It can do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 5.3 seconds. And that spells for absolutely, and I do mean this, effortless driving because of the amount of power that you have, the amount of torque that you have. Overtaking, no problem whatsoever. Overtaking on an incline, good grief, no problems also whatsoever. And since it's electric, then going up twisties, there's just no second guessing of the gears, there's no shifting, there's no popping or waiting for the turbo, nothing. It just, you plant your foot and it just keeps going and going and going. And with that is also the smoothness of the vehicle. Obviously, because it's an EV, there's no gears or anything. It's just very, very smooth, very, very quiet, very calm in here. Even though that this thing is rolling on 21s, the suspension is great. It's not an executive sedan, no, but it's still very comfortable in here. And the steering, I know I touched on this earlier, and I did say that we were going to discuss it now. The steering is very, very light. It's as if you're driving this huge vehicle in tiny streets of Metro Manila, and it's so easy because the steering is so light. And yet when you're on the highway, it stiffens up just right so that you feel very, very much in control. You'd expect a lot of technology in here considering that the side mirrors are screens, right? And there's a lot of advanced driver assist systems inside this car, and they work really, really great. I'm actually impressed with the adaptive cruise in this car. You guys know that I'm not a fan of adaptive cruise, and yet here it works really, really well. Although you have 700 Newton meters of torque inside this car, when a car in front of you departs the lane and you have free range to go forward, it doesn't pull immediately. It's a slow progression because, well, it doesn't want to bury you in your seat. The one thing that's a little OA is the lane keep assist, where it gets kind of swayy a little bit, especially in areas where the lines on the road aren't painted very well, like for instance Skyway. So every once in a while it's like, and then also in addition to the cruise control, if let's say for example the adaptive cruise isn't accelerating quick enough for you, worry not. You just go into the menu and you just tell the car to accelerate faster, the reaction speed to be slower or faster and whatnot. You can customize it to your liking. This is probably the very first adaptive cruise control that I'm going to say yes to.
Wow.
Generally, the cabin is very, very comfortable. So I can imagine myself being driven by Jack, sitting in the second row, enjoying it because it's dark, it's cool, there's shades, there's the massage function for the seats, it reclines, you can go into zero gravity, that angle. But I don't know, it's like the other Kia products, they're very, very comfortable and you want to sit in the back. Here in this particular product, I want to drive it. It's very engaging and it's very sharp and it's just a lot of fun to drive. It could be because of its smooth drivetrain or the powerful motor, the amount of torque and horsepower that you get, the smooth suspension. But it's just because I feel like this car is very, very engaging for the driver and I like being in this driving position. Even though I know that it's probably nicer to sleep in the back, no. Sorry, Jack. I don't care what you say. I'm gonna bogart this car from you. Tawagin mo akong madamot, I don't care. But nope, I'm really, really enjoying driving this thing. Even though I know I could be snoring in the back, huh? Nope. Okay lang. It's fun.
Wait. That's a word that I don't know.
What?
When it's a verb, what does bogart mean?
Like you're making it swapang all to yourself. To acquire the leader of the fleet requires top dollar because the EV9 comes in at 5,938,000 Philippine pesos. It's a true flagship, don't get me wrong, because it's got a buttload of features and tech. The interior is spacious and just really wonderful, and it is wickedly quick, and it has a dynamic drive. Now, I understand that the price may not be for everyone. And that's okay because not everyone is doing this. Not even the Japanese.